Hello, I'm Mark, and this is Suffolk Sail on the Salt Marsh. And today, well, I'm just looking out the window now, and it is probably the first proper day of winter. It's been getting very, very cold, and tomorrow it looks like we've got terrific gale coming in off the sea. So today's job is to get the boats in off the River Old before we get them blown away, I suppose. There's very little chance of too much damage coming to them, but we don't want any damage, so we're going to get them in. So later in the day we're going to head down there and do that. Two of them are my boss's boats, one is Mark's and one is mine and my wife's. So we're going to get those in and just pull them in. We've got to wait till the tide is right. It is, what is the day today? It's November the 20 something, and the tide isn't until the tide isn't until 5:45. That gives us 2 hours. So I'm just hoping that we can get them in safely, and it's going to be a bit of a we're on a bit of a time scale, but anyway, we're going to film that later on today. So there you go, we'll see if we can catch you then. I aren't supposed to be filming you drinking beer. I know, I just spilled it because I walked into a tractor, but there you go.
What beer?
Well, I don't know. What was that you got under your coat?
Looks it.
Anyway, what's that, all that bandage around your hand for?
That's my poorly hand.
Oh dear. Oh dear, dear, dear. Well, you need a beer then, don't you?
Terry caught me with my hand in the restricted biscuit cupboard.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah, terrible, terrible. There you go.
That's what happens.
Anyway, now we're done all that. Well, you can't drink it like that, can you? Anyway, what we're doing today is, viewer, we got to get these three boats that are on the water out, and this one here that you might have seen, the Sargasso. We're going to get them up because tomorrow it's going to be quite a high tide and an extremely strong wind coming from there. And that's what we want to try and avoid. So that's about time. What is the date, Mark? Is that about 22nd, 23rd November?
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, it's round about there. So they've been in a long time, and perhaps we'll put them back in later, but they got to come out for this anyway. So there you go. So Syl's coming down in a minute, and she's going to film our antics, which, well, we'll see how that goes. Mark's just getting his lines off that, and we'll pull this one out first, I think. That's a good job looking at that sail. If it is going to be strong winds tomorrow, that's a good job we came down today. That's absolutely beautiful, Mark.
Oh yeah.
That's cold, but that is lovely.
That's a little go.
Let's snap it and then see, and then take it.
I don't think that will, Mark. I think that's more like if the eye in the front of the boat will hold, which I know it will. I bet the rope will.
You bet. How much?
Threepence halfpenny.
So then the first thing we're going to try and do is get the Sargasso pulled up, because that's in the way. We want to get that up, and Mark wants to get the sail off, the main sail off it, and get it, make sure it's covered up, and that'll also make life easier when we bring the others in. As I said, we aren't actually alcoholics at all, and don't confess to be, but we do have a beer on Friday afternoon. We call it Beer Friday, and we just get together, and if the weather's like this, we'll get down the river, we'll have a beer, have a martel about what's happened over the course of the week and what we're planning to do next week. It's just a nice way of finishing the week off. Mark just helping with that just to keep that level. And then when we get to the edge of the Sultan, what I'll do is I'll pull forward and we'll shorten the line. And then what we can do is just lift it a little, and that'll help just lift the bow and just make it a bit easier to pull up there, put less strain on the boat and less strain on the line. That sail has come loose, and that is really, really good that we have come down here tonight, because if those winds pick up like they're talking about, although it doesn't look anything like it over the river at the moment, but if those winds pick up like they're talking about, that will be flogged to pieces, that sail, by tomorrow night. So that's really been worthwhile just on that score alone. Here we go, we're just lifting it a little as well. That just takes a bit of the strain off it. And this of course is the Sargasso, which you may well have seen in an earlier episode, when it had its first sail. Right, now we've got that up. The next thing we've got to think about is getting these three out. And as I said, we're on a short time scale. The reason for that is it isn't high tide until 5:45, and this is now 4:45. We've got 2 hours to get these boats in, and of course it's going to be dark.
You don't say off you go, you say action. That's running particularly well.
We've got about an hour and a quarter, and it's going to be pitch black. This is a run and mooring, and it's working particularly well today.
Are you getting this? Hope you're getting all this.
Yeah.
Good.
This is my governor's little fishing boat, the Raggy Omar. I'm going to use that to pull the other boats in up to the hammerhead.
Underneath where you just shove that cover on. Yeah, squeeze the bulb of it.
Oh, it's nearly a full tank.
Yeah, squeeze the old bulb thing. Alright, you're not performing CPR.
I am. Well, I'm going out to that, aren't I? Are you coming with me?
I think Mark forgot he was got to come with me, but he have. Oh, he needs some help.
As long as we don't end up being stuck out there, because I've got to get back from the tea.
Yeah, there's no chance.
No chance.
No.
Oh, that's all right then.
Anyway, what we're doing is now, we're just going out, and what I've got to do is try and get round the boats that are there, and I'm going to come in towards them boats the same side, the same way as the wind is blowing. So whichever way the bow is facing on those boats, we're going to come in alongside them facing the same way, because that will make it easier to control. That's the way the tide is running, and the wind is running that way too. Sometimes the tide is not as strong as the wind, and the boat will face the opposite direction. But today, both are in the same quarter. It's hard to believe, looking at this, that this morning we had half an inch of snow. That was the first snow of the winter. But it's absolutely beautiful evening to be out. Lovely evening to be fiddling around on the river. Although we call it work. So as I said, we're coming up alongside Chinos, which I believe is a little Fletcher, I'm not sure, but anyway. And once we get up alongside her, strangely we actually forgot another part of the equation, which side we were going to bring the boat in. But that doesn't matter, we sorted that out. So Marcus getting off there, he'll get a line onto the Raggy Omar, and then he'll get rid of that line that's on the mooring, and then we'll get Mark back on the Raggy, and then we'll get back into the hammerhead. But before we do that, you'll notice that I pulled back a bit, and we got the Chinos round to the other side of the boat, because we felt that would be the easiest way of bringing it into the hammerhead. There we go, Mark's just pulling that round. You can see us on the other side of the boat now.
That's okay, just bring her up onto the point.
Now Mark will jump up onto the pontoon and tie up the Chinos.
Right then, off you go.
And that's part of the equation. And that's why we're not bringing them right in at the moment, because we can work,
Alright, okay.
but we are waiting for the tide. The more water we've got, the easier this has got to be when we get towards the Sultan.
Did I mention my sore hand? See? Sacrifices.
Yeah.
Right then.
Okay.
Surprising how quickly that this water comes in. We're probably gaining, I don't know, 6 inches of water, 4 to 6 inches of water every 15 minutes. So by leaving them out on the pontoon, that gives us a lot more scope at the other end. Going to do the same thing with the Sweet Sue. Going to come round, so we come in the same direction as the Sweet Sue is facing, and then we'll get a line on there and get her off the mooring.
Well, come up this side again, come up the starboard side.
as you can see, we're taking our time.
Clip on the end of that line on the mooring line. You have it, yeah?
Yes.
So if I follow the mooring line down, it'll have a clip on
You
it.
pull the mooring line, you'll come to the clip, yeah.
Yeah, the old rainwater harvesting system's working well.
It is. Yeah, that mean, well, with that way up, that battery's had it, innit? I ain't been empty there for, I'm sure, Wayne.
Yeah, when we got till, we found out that, although it was a bit of a red herring to be quite honest, we found out that the wind had blown the solar panel that runs the battery, which runs the auto bilge, that had been flipped over by the wind. And I did think that that's why she was full of water, but in actual fact she was full of water because, well, we'd had a fair bit of rain over the last few days, but very, very little of it had actually got below the deck, down to where the auto bilge is. So that was quite pleasing in the end, even though Mark did have to have a little quip about rainwater harvesting system, and yes, it shouldn't really be like it, but unfortunately this time of year there's so few hours in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. You're about to run over the mooring. Yeah.
And I did have, in my defence, every intention of getting out to her and going for a sail, and I'd have bailed her out then, but unfortunately that just hasn't happened.
Yeah, it's gone that way now, you're alright. Clear of it.
Might just get her cleaned out, and then once she's cleaned out and cleaned up and all the other, might just put her back in again, or might go put her back in after Christmas perhaps. I really, really would love to do some winter sailing. She really is a lovely little boat. It's a Shipmate 16. You've got a small cuddy on, so you can get out of the weather if you really need to. But it is sad to see her coming out of the water. But there you go. There's nothing we can do about it. Better safe than sorry.
Well, bring me into the upper part. More birds, man. Right, I'll just show slow down a bit. Well, you're alright. The tide with the spot.
We're just coming up to the pontoon now, and that is number 2 of 3 in. And number 3 we're already in, so we haven't got to do a lot of work there. So I think to myself, well, I don't know, it's the last go to have a play on the river. I'll just take her for a little burn up the river.
A bit more forward. A bit more. Okay, brilliant. Right then. Beautiful.
Are you coming for a run then?
No thanks.
Huh?
No thanks.
I just got to have a whiz.
Right, take the director with you.
Yeah, good idea. Come on, director.
No, I don't want to.
Look, sun's going down. Look at that beautiful sunset. You need the director on board, Raggy Omar.
I did take her for a run up the river, just I don't know, 150 yards. But to be quite honest, that does nothing for me whatsoever. I just really aren't interested in power boats at all, so only went 100 yards and came back again. But playing around on the river in one of them is better than not being on the river at all.
He'll be wanting to get a speedboat next, won't he?
Do you think? He don't like him, does he? He's too tight to pay for the petrol. Whatever you do, don't film the terrible neglect that's gone on in the bottom of this boat here.
Oh my god.
Don't film that. Don't show him up, whatever you do.
Look at that.
Terrible, isn't it? Boat ownership
It's like
at
a
its
pond.
worst.
Yeah. It's quite quiet, that boat.
So now Mark is walking the Sweet Sue up the jetty, and then we'll get a line onto the front of the tractor and just hopefully just slide her out. And having that little bit extra water there is really handy. That'll get us a bit closer in.
There she blows.
Oh dear, Mark.
I think we need to clear yours first,
Yeah, okay.
and then bring them all up this way.
Bring this up here now?
Nah, they're alright a minute.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And that won't hurt to have a bit more water.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh dear. That is sad really, that coming out of the water. But that's a necessity.
Oh, look. Load of flies have decided to bed down for the winter in my cell. They're about to be displaced.
Yeah. Well, they just learned how that works, have they?
Yeah. A lot of wasps commit suicide in my cover.
We're really losing the daylight now, as you can see. And we've still got another 2 to get in. Same idea as the last boat. Shorten the rope a bit and just lift it slightly to lift it off the Sultan and onto the bank. That just takes a bit of pressure off the boat, the line and everything else. And that's the Sweet Sue out. What Mark is just doing there is he's just opening the bungs at the back. The one forward that you can see, that is the water coming out from under the floor, but that stopped very quickly. There's quite a lot in the cockpit, as you could see earlier. So we're just taking the weight off the boat before pulling it round and out of the way. That gives us a bit more room to work. And that's all about taking our time and just not rushing anything. This is the Raggy now coming in, and that's the Raggy Omar, and it's actually spelt like a ragworm. So that's the fishing boat. I think it's been sort of all over the place, up and down the Old and the Ore.
Should be interesting.
And then of course Mike arrived to pass on the condolences.
He said the water came up over here.
The other day, yeah.
Good evening.
Hello, Mark.
You alright?
How are you?
Hiya. Sad moment, this, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Had to happen sooner or later though, didn't it? I'm
Yeah.
with the forecast this weekend. This weekend's as good a time as any.
Really.
And now you can see it's almost dark. And we've got them all in. This, of course, is Saturday morning. Well, there's a Saturday morning, and as you can see, on the east coast of Suffolk, it can turn as quick, and there you have it, and that's why we got the boats in yesterday. And what a complete contrast from last night on the river, absolutely beautiful, clear sky, to this. Yeah, there you go. Well, we did the right thing.